Welcome to Impact Farming, where we introduce you to the people and ideas that will have a massive impact on your farming operation. Brought to you by Farm Marketer. Sit down, start the engine, and let's roll with today's show.
Hey there. Happy 2025. I hope your new year is off to a great start. And I'm sure a lot of you are going, Tracy, 2025 is crazy already. As we know, we don't always have to list all the challenges, because where there are challenges, there are opportunities. But as always, agriculture is dealing with a lot, right? We have high land prices, high input prices, we have high interest rates, commodity prices, and we have a lot going on with US and talks of tariffs. And I don't know about you guys, but in our household, as much as you don't want to speculate and as much as you don't want to worry before you have to worry, I think we worry before we have to worry. It's just natural, right? So much of everything that we do is out of our control as farmers, whether it's the weather, whether it's policy, whether it is tariffs from policy. There's a lot on the go. So I want to connect again and really just do a bit more of a personal episode. As you've noticed, probably over the last couple months, I've started a few different things. I'm starting book reviews because, one, readers are leaders. And in building this media company and everything that I've done, books have been so amazing for me, building my business, helping me learn, that I want to do the same thing for our channel, because there are actually some fantastic agriculture targeted books. Not as many as mainstream business, but there are some really great books. And I mean, Elaine and so many authors have had some books for quite some time, and I'll be featuring those. But there's more transition planning books coming up, and I've been reading them and actually interviewing each of the authors on the show for the last part of 2024 and going into 2025. That's one of the things I'm doing. So I'm doing book reviews. I am interviewing those authors and sharing their work and sharing their message. And for me, one of the big things that you'll notice is I've really started to do a deep dive into transition planning. Why? Well, for me, it is something that interests me personally. Transition planning has affected my life, or lack thereof, let's say. Hey, it's me. If you're enjoying this episode, like it and subscribe. We are here to bring you the people and ideas that'll impact your farming operation, and I would love to have you each week on this journey. Subscribe, and I'll see you back in the episode. As we all know, right? Don't you know that? How many people has your family been affected from lack of transition planning? I'm sure you are sitting there going like this. Everybody in the audience is. And if it's not directly us right now, it's the neighbor and the neighbor and the neighbor down the road, right? We hear of all those fights, family divisions, farm having to get sold. That is actually the reason I started this show 7 years ago. I had a media platform, Farm Marketer, our egg media company. We were redoing the website, and then I realized it had been just about 10 years at that point that we had been online sharing good news, farms for sale, commodities, events, all this kind of information that farmers needed. And 10 years into the business, I said, well, what more can we offer farmers? Podcasts had been a huge way that I had learned in addition to books, and helped me grow my mindset, my business skills, to be able to grow Farm Marketer, the media company, and launch the Impact Farming Show. So I'm like, wait a minute, why don't we do a show produced by Farm Marketer, dedicated to the people and ideas that will impact your farming operation, centered around business, mental health, leading ideas. Because at the end of the day, we have the two parts to agriculture. I'd say three parts, right? We have production, we have business, and then we have taking care of the farmer. Because if we're physically healthy and mentally healthy, we do a better job of being us. We have a happier life, of course, happier relationships. But if we're physically and mentally healthy, our farm finances and our production also benefits from that, right? So, how many years ago? 7 years ago now, I launched the Impact Farming Show. And at that point, I'd really launched it secretly to tackle transition planning because the generations gone by didn't have a ton of resources for transition planning. Things were done a little bit different. Results happened, family feuds, farms got sold, all of those things. We know that. The not so warm and fuzzy part about agriculture and family business, right? So those generations may not have had the tools like we do. This show, video shows, podcast shows, magazines, books, vlogs, all the tools out there, social media, a lot of information floating around. So I said, you know what? Mistakes have been made, but now us, the next generation, if you have children and you're looking to pass the farm on, we have so many tools at our fingertips. If we make the same mistakes as previous generations, shame on us, right? We have the information. So that was part of it 7 years ago. And I did some transition planning, a lot of other business episodes. And I left it because I wasn't quite ready at that point, like I am now, to dive into transition planning for whatever reason, timing, personal, professional, all of that stuff. But now, I don't know, sometime in 2024, it just kicked in. I'm like, let's go. Of course, we're going to cover other subjects, business, leading ideas, hot topics, farmer protests, anything I feel that our audience needs to know that may or may not be covered by other publications and podcasts. Some of those things that I think are critical, and even if they're not in our country, like European protests, while there's signs and some of those same policies creeping up in North America, let's have an eye on the other countries, what they've dealt with, how they've dealt with it, and be aware if it comes to us, right? So now I am really in the zone of transition planning because any farm, unless we are selling it, we have to do a transition plan. And like many of the experts on the show say, your farm transitions no matter what, whether you do it while you're living, after you're gone, whether you do it successfully, unequally, kindly, gently, meanly, the farm will transition. So I like one thing that Terry Betker said when he was on a real honest episode, like all of them, but he had a really interesting take. And I loved that he was reflecting on retirement as he was going through this in his consulting company, Backswath Management. And he's in that phase and looking at retiring and your legacy and dealing with those feelings of not wanting to retire. Because who does, right? We love what we do. We don't want to retire. But how do we walk that journey while providing opportunity for the next generation and bringing them in a way that aligns with the founding generation, not being kicked to the curb because it's their farm, right? How do we do this well with the family dynamics, with the financial dynamics, with all the uncertainty and unpredictability in agriculture? How do we walk this transition journey? So Terry had that beautiful conversation reflecting on, wow, when you are in those retirement shoes, it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow. So I've really kicked into high gear on transition planning. We all know the stats. I think it's somewhere around 70% of farmers don't have a transition plan or not written. I mean, it may be in the founder's head, it may be loosely spoken about. But how do we look at everybody's concerns, everybody's wishes, desires as the people involved in the farm and as the people involved in the family farm operation? And then how do we look at the business? And then how do we look at all the legalities and the strategies? So when I did one of those later 2024 episodes, but earlier on my deep dive into transition plan, I'm like, there is so much here to speak about. And my goal is to cover every single little subtopic, in addition to introducing you to all our guests, of course, all the topics, all their books. How do we talk about each of the topics within transition planning, right? Because we have the founders' concerns, we have the successors' concerns, we have the spouses, we have the legal end, we have wills and estates, we have fair and equal, we have prenups. We can go on and on. And at the one point, I was just fired up and I wrote a list of probably like 15 episodes. And I'm sure I could have came up with 15 more at that time. So there's a lot of ground to cover. And the reason I want to cover this, it's personal to me, it's personal to all of us. But I also want to bring it into one show in a journey where you guys can follow along, where you know Tracy is doing transition planning. Let's go see her. We can't put it all in one episode, or that'd be like a 12-hour episode. But Tracy's going to bring on the thought leaders, the people and ideas that'll impact our farming operation and our transition plan. And then going deeper than that, we know most of the experts, and I'm trying to name it, majority of the stumbling blocks in life, in farm business, is not a will, because that's pretty straightforward. It's not a tactic. A lot of the things that hold producers up are fear, 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 all the fears, right? It's not tactics, because you can go to an accountant quick. You can pick up the phone and ask them. It's not the strategies. It's a lot of the human dynamics, dealing with the founder's concern about retiring and what their role is and what their purpose is. That holds a lot of founders up, right? It's dealing with the farm child and how you're going to bring them in. It's dealing with the fair and equal conversation, which I think is the big elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. So I'm having those hard conversations. I don't love the entitlement feeling, and a lot of the advisors will say, we don't go with our hands open. Like I've always said, if we get something, that's a blessing in life. But if you're the farm child and this is your future and you're living it, and it's your career and your livelihood, there is a pressure within yourself to have certainty, to have investment, to have ownership. There's the family spouses that are concerned. What's going on? If you don't have clarity as a farm child, and the spouse is also feeling that, right? So it's just such a big topic. And I am just happy to dive into it. I'm excited. I'm doing some episodes and a lot more to come in 2025. I've done a few book reviews on the transition books. There's more coming out now. Elaine's had some great ones, and oh geez, so many of the other guests I've had, there's been some other books. But I've noticed now within the last couple of years, if you go into Amazon, go onto our website, you'll start to see my book reviews. But go into Amazon, type in transition planning. There's a good handful of books there now. If it's hot on your mind, buy those books and read. Because I have always learned as a business owner, when things aren't clear, you don't know what to do, maybe you don't have control, everything's uncertain, one of the most amazing things to do is take action, small action. Go for a walk. It helps you from feeling physically and mentally stuck. That's what I do. But my number one go-to when I am at a crossroads, don't know what to do, is learn, because immediately you gain some insights, some knowledge, some wisdom on how to handle the situation. And it'll just give you that next step, and then the next step, and the next step. But at the very bare bones of that, I always say when you feel doubt and uncertainty, this is what I do. I grab a book, because it gives you the feeling that you have control over something. and you can learn and start the process instead of just stewing in that uncertain doubt, fear, energy. Grab a book, read. Guaranteed, if you read any one of those transition planning books, a good business book, something that lights you up, it's going to free up that stuck energy, right? That stuck feeling. And most importantly, give you the knowledge. Because a lot of farm families, we don't deal with transition planning. And if we do, we deal with it once, maybe twice. So we don't know what to do. Go to seminars, go to trade shows where they have speakers speaking about transition planning. Learn. Then it gives you a bit of a roadmap. And if nothing else, if you're held up on the other side of the family equation, like the farm founders, they're probably feeling the same stuckness, right? That's what I've heard from a lot of people. It's just a lot of stuck. And I think with episodes on our show, the amazing individuals out there writing books, sharing their thoughts. There's a lot of brilliant people in this space with wisdom and information. I try and get them all on the show, so tune in. But even just follow those individuals and you can gain some knowledge, you can gain some steps. And not only that, you will have a bit of a roadmap. So if you're the successor generation, and you're waiting on the founders, there's going to be a bit of a push-pull. What if you read a book and learn about all the different areas? You learn about it, and then you share some of your findings with farm founders. Not pushy, just starting the conversation, because chances are everybody's stuck. That is what I've heard from all our great guests. Patty Duran just wrote a book about the future leader, and it's talking about and giving a roadmap for farm successors. It's not 100% written for farms. It's just family business, but it applies. Like you read that, and if you're a farmer, you're reading it as a farmer. It's just brilliant. When I was reading her advanced copy, I was sitting there going, yes, yes, yes. And I just interviewed Patty about her book on the website. And I told her, I said, I was thankful she wrote the book because I wanted to write it. And I didn't actually want to write a book because I don't have time for that. And that's not my thing right now. But I was so thankful when she actually wrote the book and announced it. And then I had the opportunity to read it. Now it's out. She's at events speaking. She was in Brandon just in January in Manitoba. But so many great things coming out. So I would encourage you, if you are interested in business, if you're interested in transition planning, go to farmmarketer.com. You'll find Impact Farming Show, and then go to sign up, I think it is. Sign up for our show alerts, and then you will find out when each new episode comes out. And there's some great fun stuff we're going to start doing in the new year there. But if you're on this journey, like all farmers are, and you want some help, some guidance, you want to hear from the best minds in the industry, sign up for the Impact Farming Show alerts. And then you'll see me every week and my guests having great conversations. Because at the end of the day, I don't think transition planning needs to be the struggle that it is. It makes sense why it is, because we have so many peopling, so many different parties concerned about this, their livelihood, their security, so many different things on the go. But I think if we spend some time and make transition planning a priority and then just rip the Band-Aid off, it provides a lot of clarity for farm families. Because if you think of it, farm founders, they have their concerns. Farm children have their concerns. Farm children's spouse have their concerns. Off-farm children have their concerns. And then my big concern, guys, the farm. If you look at all the land being gobbled up by big corporations, and I'm not saying that's bad because, hey, you got to grow. No judgment there. But we look at the smaller farms selling out and then we blame them when meanwhile, a big statement here, we didn't work on transition planning early enough for many farms, and then the farm kids get old, they work off farm, and then at some point your appetite for coming back to the farm goes away. I know so many farms like that. You're not going to take over a farm. You can, and maybe that's the plan, and go for it. But if we don't do right by the farm family, we won't do right by the farm business. And actually, I think Jolene Brown says it the other way: do the farm business right to help the family. And I look at it, let's just do the hard stuff first. Rip the Band-Aid off, learn what we need to know for transition planning, get a plan, talk to experts, and then make it clear. Because by doing that, we're going to save a lot of harmony between farm families, right? We'll save a lot of harmony between off-farm children that don't know what is going on. If we don't have a clear understanding of what's going on in our life, we feel doubt and uncertainty. And that breeds ill will, resentment. People make up stories. I've just seen it happen, guys. And I would love for our generation, the ones above me, whoever's in ownership structure now, clarity is beautiful. Let's be clear, because I think it's not only possible, I think it is our responsibility, if we have kids and we want our farm to continue on, to make that farm financially viable, that the next generation wants to come back, and have a clear roadmap and conversation so that everybody knows what's going on. It's clear. Then you save everybody's harmony, and we save the family farm. Because if we look at it, there's enough against us with high land prices, commodity prices tanking up and down, high input prices. There's a lot of pressure on the family farm. And I think if we want to see these farms that we're also passionate about continue on intact and not be sold to the local neighbors, if that's our desire, we got to do the hard stuff first and be clear and have those hard conversations like so many of our beautiful guests on the Impact Farming Show do. So that's where I'm at. And I'm so excited about this, guys. It is such important work, taking care of the farm, taking care of the farm family. It's not easy, but it's important, right? If we're also passionate about our farms and them continuing on, we owe it to our family and our farm to do the hard work, the planning that is hard for a little bit, then it's easy. So I'm excited about 2025 and the years to come. I know we have a lot on our plate as farmers. It's easy not to think about some of these things, right? Because, oh, commodities are down. Oh, It's easy to push it off, push it off, push it off. And then we're dealing with all those unsaid things, unplanned transition dynamics. But I fully believe that we can make strong farms, make strong farm families. That's my mission here. Let's have everybody working in harmony, and let's preserve the legacy of our family farms. That's my mission for 2025. I'd love to hear from you. Where are you at? How are things on your farm? Did you have a good 2025? Drought? What's going on? Are there episodes that you would like me to cover? Just let me know. Are there guests you've seen on other shows that you think are fantastic? Drop a note, shoot me a message in our social media inboxes. We're always there. I'd love to hear from you. And let's make 2025 a fantastic year, okay? I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Impact Farming. For more great episodes and articles designed to help you manage and grow your farming operation, head on over to farmmarketer.com. Don't forget to sign up while you're there. We will see you on the next episode.